When we look at the world around us, the rising cost of living, the wars, the natural disasters, the uncertainties in economies, political confusions, broken homes, and what have you, the church is the only haven. It feels like the whole world is in labor pain, awaiting the midwife, which again I believe is the church. Today, joining me in the studio is Apostle Chris Eduse Donko, the founder of Oasis World and the president of CAD Ministry. We're here to delve into an important subject. Is the church relevant in the sight of the world? Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Edifo.
Thank you, Baba. We're so glad and privileged to have you today to help us unravel the nitty-gritties of the subject matter, which is the church really relevant in the sight of the world? But I wanted to firstly, greet the audience, and then we pick it up from there, sir.
All right. So, greetings to our audience. We thank God for the privilege to come your way with all this important topic, and I trust God that there's so much we can learn from this. Thank you, Prophet Joshua Maron, for.
Thank you so much once again. So the first question I want to ask is the church really a haven?
Is the church really a haven? Is the church really a haven? Is the church really a safe place?
A safe place.
The church have never lost its place as the safest place on earth, because for what we believe and what we understand, the church represents the place of God.
Okay.
That is the place of absolute protection, the place of absolute provision, the place of absolute defense, the place of absolute interventions. And that is what the church is supposed to represent, and that's what the church actually represents. So yes, I wouldn't say the modern day church stand as a perfect representation of what we esteem it or we expect it to be. It has its own challenges here and there, but there isn't any other place that is as safe more than the church on earth.
Okay. Wow. Okay, so sir, in your submission, you mentioned that the church happens to be the place of God. In this context, are you trying to say that the church has a particular location? Is the church the building? Is the church that gigantuan or gargantuan building according to the school you attended, the teacher that taught you, and your level of intelligence? Is the church a building? Is it an edifice? When we talk about the church, what is the church?
When we talk about the church, especially in this New Testament context, we're talking about the believers and the followers of Christ. Okay? It goes beyond a denominational gathering, but the denominational gathering is part of the rituals that is expected to be performed by the believers of Christ. Let me quickly, because I use a term that people don't feel too comfortable with when it comes to the church, the worship of every deity requires a certain number of rituals. There is always a ritual that needs to be performed. We can call it ordinance, we can call it practices. You look at some people in the other world, which we call the dark world uses the term rituals, and because they uses the term rituals, it makes them value their practices.
Okay.
But we use practices, and sometimes we trivialize what is expected of us, which is supposed to be the rituals of our worship to the supreme deity. And for that matter, we followers of Christ, Christians, must have that understanding. So when I say the gathering of the denominational gathering, or the gathering of believers, whether it's in temples, churches, or whichever name, sanctuaries, or whichever name you call it, is part of the rituals of our worship, part of our practices as believers in Christ.
Okay. Thank you so much. That is very profound. And those of you who were confused like myself many years ago when we hear the word rituals, I believe with all my heart that that subject has been duly dealt with. So ritual doesn't necessarily mean the involvement of blood, the killing of somebody, the killing of a person, killing of an animal. But I think today ritual, or if there's something else you can add to it, clear the mind.
No, the killing, the sacrificing of blood, killing of human beings, and all the other things you can talk about. They fall into the rituals of certain deities. Okay? So there are rituals that people perform for their gods that is even illegal.
Okay.
Like if you sacrifice a human being, but then people still do sacrifice in secret. That's how we call secret court and other things, because their rituals and their practices are so sometimes very illegal. They have to hide and do it. So we know that we won't pretend as if we don't know that up to date the people do human sacrifices and other things. We might not have physical evidence of it because nobody is doing it for you to see, but people still, depending on which god they serve, perform those rituals, and they know that those are the rituals that warrant them the attention and the intervention and the provision and the protection of those deities or those gods. Okay, some go to forests to do it, some go to other temples to do it, some have secret places of meeting. It's part, those meetings and everything is part of their ritual. So when we come to we Christians and believers, the church goes beyond denominations.
Okay.
But the denominational gathering is also a very important part of our practice, which I call the rituals of our worship.
Wow. Thank you so much for this in-depth. Permit me to digress a little on the major subject because of the ritual term you brought in. Does that mean we are permitted to call our communion services the rituals of the blood?
I as you know, I have a program that's on Easter programs. We have Let the Blood Speak, and then the Friday, Good Friday, I do rituals of the blood.
And don't you face some backlashes and things?
I don't, because you see, the ultimate ritual, sacrificial ritual that was made to give us redemption is the sacrificing of Jesus' blood on the cross.
Okay.
So the cross happened to be the ultimate altar, and the sacrifice of Jesus